Welcome to the Zeloi Collective Women IG Live.
Today we are speaking to Zizi digital owner Nombulelo Malinga, and we are talking about her experience as an entrepreneur. And I want to tell you just a little bit more about who she is and what she's done.
Definitely.
So Nombulelo is actually a qualified publicist and social media specialist with over 10 years experience in the digital marketing space. She was most recently the head of social media at an award-winning company, Clockwork Media. This is where she fine-tuned her art of managing teams, developing and implementing social media strategies. And today she's going to be sharing with us some of those strategies that she's used and how she actually became an entrepreneur.
I hope you guys are doing well also. Thank you for joining us.
There she is.
Thank you so much, ladies. I'm just adjusting the volume.
Awesome.
No problem. Can you hear us clearly? That's maybe how you got into social media before you even started your own company. How did you get into social media? How was your journey?
Sure. So I studied public relations, actually. And I studied public relations in Cape Town. Really enjoyed the concept of creating something. So being able to see an idea come to life, but also being able to relate to the public. But as I was in public relations, I realized that, okay, as much as we're dealing with media and as much as we're representing brands, I think that there is an opportunity to do this from a digital perspective. So I was like, okay, so what is this actually? And I remember in our third year, I think it was when we had communication studies and media studies, we had a module called social media, which we needed to do a project with a nonprofit organization, create content for them, and then post on their social media. So that's when I started seeing that there's actually an opportunity to be a social media / community manager. But I had been exposed to snippets of social media because I was a radio personality as well, on campus radio at that time. And we would actually use the social media platforms to update people of when we were about to go on air. So I started seeing that this is actually really cool, the different aspects of this. There's a content creation aspect, there's the videography or photography aspect of it, then there's also strategic role. So I started out with just the content and an idea here and there and posting things on the university.
How did you get the concept of your business? Like, how did you materialize for you?
Cool. So essentially, I had been in the social media, community management, media publishing, editorial space for quite a while. I was specifically in agency for about 3 to 4 years, obviously after working within media publishing space. And I'd reached a point where I had now become the head of social media. And I saw that where I was working, there was no longer any room for me to grow beyond that. And I actually sat down and I said to myself, what is the next move from here? It is either I'm going to go in a corporate direction or I am going to start my own business. But with that, it was when COVID had just started. And I'm not too sure if I mentioned it when I was talking about my journey as to why I chose social as someone who studied public relations. But I always knew that the future is digital. And I knew that if you really want to be able to measure results, digital is the best way for you to achieve that. So yes, COVID has been absolutely horrible in terms of deaths and businesses suffering. But I had to put my entrepreneur hat on and say, there must be an opportunity here. And I believe that the COVID pandemic has pushed businesses to spaces where they need to ensure that they are digitally inclined. And I knew that this is something that I had actually been waiting for my whole life, an opportunity to be able to create from the perspective of providing digital services. And that was the last push that I needed. Obviously, financially, I needed to make sure that I would be secure. So I did have a few side clients in that agency role. However, I did get a larger client that was willing to take me on as a consultant. And just from that basis, I was able to say, okay, great. This is the time for me to step into what I have always known is what I would want to do, and that is specializing in the digital perspective and particularly focusing on social media.
Great. So how was basically what was the most enjoyable part of you starting your own business and becoming an entrepreneur? What do you enjoy the most about the experience?
So many things. Like, I won't lie, obviously there are pros and cons of being your own boss. However, the one thing that is so rewarding is when you see an idea that has come to completion that you know you came up with. And it's in so many different ways. Exactly, yes. You know that feeling because you're like, this started off as an idea or a concept and it manifests into something that you can see, touch, feel, something that can trend, something that you can create a case study from. It's amazing to be able to see what you have visualized come to. And that for me is just so exciting. Another thing that I really, really love is that you become the creator of your own reality, in that you can make things happen without needing to bypass too many higher structures. So it's also quite liberating in that you don't have to be so conscious of who's going to give you a big red no. You're confident in your skills. You know how to make things happen. So for me, those are definitely the two most enjoyable things for me.
Okay.
And what have been maybe the biggest challenge or most significant failures that have helped you learn from your mistakes or from actually experiencing the challenge? Is there anything in particular that you look back now and be like, actually going through that has taught me A, B, and C?
Guys, definitely. I don't even have to look too far back. And I think within the entrepreneurial space, you're constantly learning. But one thing that was really upsetting for me quite recently, I had a client that did not pay. There is nothing that
We
I
know.
had a client that didn't pay. Yeah, exactly. So it's like you can think about it and you'll be like, oh, okay, I'll deal with it when it happens. But when it actually happens, it's really disappointing. Because I mean,
How do you deal with
you've
this?
probably done some of the work.
How do you
Listen,
deal with
girl, I prioritize according to, I believe in fair energy exchanges. So if the energy is not being reciprocated, you cannot expect me to render services.
it?
And it's okay. It doesn't have to be.
No. Do you say to them,
Yes, I do have. I like to have the type of relationship where we are able to talk and communicate efficiently, because that for me is where my best business comes from. The relationships that are authentic with other business owners. So when there's a gap in communication and there's change in behavior and then non-payment or late payment or whatever, and obviously tell when things are going. And I think it's quite fair to say, hi, this was expected around this date, what's happening? Now, if there's still a bit of a miscommunication there, it's okay. Maybe there's an opportunity to work at a later stage. I don't have to be, well, I'm choosing to not particularly be aggressive. And I think that's something that a lot of business owners need to navigate, and each person will find their fit. But I also firmly believe that if I'm talented and I have resources, there's an endless well of opportunities and wealth. So let's move towards that which is reciprocating that positive energy.
Is there anything you wish you could have done differently, maybe between you starting your own business and today? Anything you look back on and be like, I wish I had done that differently. I wish I had approached this situation differently.
I wish I did it sooner.
I know the feeling.
I wish I did it sooner. Literally, I wish I did it sooner. But I believe that within life is a journey, and you need to experience maybe staying in a particular role for a little bit too long, because you needed that push